Namaste, beautiful yogis. I just finished shooting a class and I changed into my favorite shorts. I was wearing the same color pants for this class. It was thunderstorm, the class, so it was like bam, 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 done. And I figured I'm gonna do another little talk video about diet, weight loss, intuitive eating, flowing with the way we flow in yoga, flowing with the diet. So I feel that there is a lot of information there, a lot of misinformation, a lot of noise, a lot of the rules and diets and advice and a lot of experts, and it can become really confusing. For me, through the years, I started from one kind of understanding and simplified it through there and just erased a few mistakes that I have made through the years, and from there it's just I'm in a place where it's very simple, it's doable, it's no brain involved, I just flow and there is no time investment too much or anything like this. And I think that's the goal, to just listen to the body, nourish the body, don't feed it the things that would make it sick, or it's just the things that would disturb your sleep, your digestion, all of that. So it has to be a balance. We can't just say, oh, you can eat anything you want, or you can only eat this and this, or you should eat very little. None of those really apply perfectly. We have to find our rhythm and flow that sustains our energy and makes us feel light also, because when you're overfed, obviously you're not going to do anything. Your brain would be a little sluggish and slow. So with everything else, we have to find the middle ground where we're nourished but not overnourished. We're not overdoing it in any way, shape or form. I wanted to touch up on with weight loss on foods that usually are villainized. People usually stay away from carbs, bananas, potatoes when they're trying to lose weight, and that's about the worst thing you can do for weight loss. I mean, you could lose weight obviously on high protein or on a keto diet or counting calories, but I don't do any of that. Because it just doesn't work for me, I focus on eating as much fruit as I can if it's in season, or as many potatoes as I can if fruit is not in season, so winter and even spring or whatever. And the carbs and the water really nourish me, and then adding a lot of greens, some beans, lentils, some nuts, some nut milks, and all the veggies that are seasonal. And that is my simple formula. Now I can complicate it because I add teas to my diet, certain supplements that I rotate, certain like mushroom powders. Like right now I have lion's mane mushroom powder that I make into a latte. I always have carob lattes because I enjoy them, but they do have nutritional value. I do eat my frozen bananas with cashew milk and carob and stevia, and that kind of mixed in, and I chop up the frozen bananas. It's like ice cream, but way better. And the carob is so delicious. I'm starting to prefer it over my previous powder that I was using for this, and that was peanut powder. Now it's just carob is all the way about it. And I stopped having any cocoa powder because it's not working for Lottie and it's not working for me. So I wanted to come in and talk about diet, energy, weight loss, even anemia, sustenance, maybe even healing relationship with food. So not so much eating disorder, which is a whole nother beast, or it's a whole bigger thing, but just fulfilling that relationship between food and the love for the body. It is a deep subject, and I think a lot of it will get covered indirectly in my astrology classes. I'm about to shoot Virgo tomorrow, hopefully. And Virgo is the end of the first cycle of astrology and the birth of the spiritual soul, of the spiritual self, the spiritual consciousness. Up until Virgo, it's the development of the personality consciousness, and then after that we're going to develop the soul consciousness. The soul has to be born in Virgo, the Virgin Mother. So I'm gonna finish with the Virgo dog, the spiritual self, which is in Leo we develop the self-love, and in Virgo birthing the spiritual self, we can deepen that nurturing for the self so that we can see the spiritual within. So the concepts are deep within astrology, and the more we spiritually look at things, the deeper our understanding of ourselves and our connection to ourselves and to our soul, and the self-love becomes. And self-love becomes something very profound. I feel that the word self-love is not a good term but we use it because that's the term in English, but it's a much deeper thing. So with nourishment, with diet, I feel that there's so much confusion, so many what I eat in a day videos. Some of them are not good information. Some of them are just information that is created by awfully young people that are concerned with numbers and just creating stuff that the public would click on. And then there is really good information. YouTube is a source of absolutely powerful information. People that used to just write books and you could buy their books, now you can connect with them and see them speak, which is even, in many ways, it's a more powerful medium. So you can learn from YouTube, but you have to discriminate. And there is a lot of information and misinformation, as I said, and a lot of people write to me, and I'm going to try to kind of summarize and bunch up all the questions into one. They're different questions, but I think the answer is always the same one. We always have to intuitively choose, intuitively understand our body and diet, and move from that place of intuition. A lot of people try to lose weight by cutting out potatoes and bananas and all the more caloric or more starchy or more sugary things, and I think that is a mistake. I try to focus on really, as a staple, on high calorie, either starches or sugars, either fruit or potatoes, and sometimes it can be chestnuts, sweet potatoes, of course, capocho pumpkin. There's many variations. Or on the fruit front, bananas, dates, wherever you live, you can make it cherimoya, sapote, and so peaches, grapes, figs. But I try to make this as the staple. Why? Because fruit can help you not only get very good energy without the effort that the body puts in digestion, it directly feeds your cells, and it provides water, but also fruit tends to clean up the mess, the heavy metals. It is very, if you get good quality fruit, bacteria and all of those probiotics tend to live on the surface of the fruit, and same applies to veggies and raw veggies. Now with potatoes, there is a deep nurturing power to them because they grow underground, and they carry that energy, that spiritual energy. Do my potato flow, it was a fun flow, but potatoes really are that invisible force, that invisible growth. I think the class the invisible growth, the growth that happens when the surface kind of looks like nothing is happening, and there is all this growth, and when you open the earth and there's all these potatoes under, and also they are kind of the villainized fruit, or the villainized fruit of the earth, because supposedly they're so high in carbs and so bad for you, and they're white starch, which I don't even know how that started, because garlic is white and cauliflower is white, and all the same people that call white starches bad for you are all obsessed with cauliflower pizza. But I feel that when we focus on seasonal and local and whole foods, and really connecting to the beauty of nature and the gratitude that we're given, that abundance, instead of constantly thinking about things, scrutinizing things, criticizing things, trying to understand it from all the information that is conflicting information coming at us. Just block everything out. Remember the basics. Some of the basics come from your grandma. Nurture your body. Don't overdo things, because there is the two extremes where people eat very little, people eat so much that it just makes the brain slow, and it just makes the detox and the whole process is slowed down, and just processes of disease begin when we overdo things or overdo the wrong things. But also the same happens on the other side when we don't nurture ourselves enough. Again, the soul suffers. So we find that element of nourishment and nurturing that allows us to feel full, to feel fulfilled, but to also feel light and feel spacious and creative. So I would not give you rules anymore. I think I have had rules through the years. I still have my own little rules, like I don't combine certain things that I know are not going to combine for me. I try not to eat very late. Definitely I don't eat before bed. Things like this. Those are rules, but they're not like hardcore rules. They're rules that I know that if I do them, I'm just not going to be happy about it. I'll just have acid or something. I don't do a lot of fat. Again, it will give me acid. But at the same time, I try to be, I have strong digestion. I have always had, so as an Aries, as a Pitta, that is a PowerPoint for me. I've never really complained of a bad digestion, but if you have, there is so many things you can do. There is temporarily only probiotics. Fruit will build your digestion like nothing else, but again, there is a little rule with fruit for me. I never eat it after any other food. It's just a disaster. I only eat it on empty stomach, and that way you won't crave dessert because you will have fulfilled the sweet need that we all humans have. We need sweet, but the right kind of sweet. The sweet that goes directly into the cells, feeds them, gives them water, nourishment, energy, and it can balance the microbiome. And then with potatoes, that's a more recent discovery of mine. I've never really included that many potatoes in my diet, none for many years. And there is something absolutely profoundly nourishing about them. I can eat as many as I want, and there is no weight gain, which is very the opposite of what you would find online or you would hear from most experts. And they again tend to balance the microbiome. There is something within potatoes that nourishes the soul. All right, so with I present you with Sophie. So with anemia, I'm kind of all over the place. Usually after shooting yoga, I'm a little bit of kind of empty-minded. With anemia, a lot of you write to me and often, and a lot of you go vegetarian, but not vegan. So you hit areas of low energy and low iron and probably other deficiencies. And that was my experience with dairy. As much as I love, and I only love one animal product, sheep's yogurt. As much as I loved it, it never worked for me in an everyday type of thing. If you want to make an exception, if you clean up your body enough to where it doesn't influence you, that's fine. But just everyday dairy, it really blocks the absorbance of iron, and somehow it doesn't work. I've read the studies in which it shows it doesn't work, but also practically it just doesn't work. I urge you to, if you are gonna go vegetarian, go vegan, otherwise include, the animal products that you want to include, but not so much dairy. Some dairy, okay, but not every day, because it does mess with the absorption of nutrients. And with your iron levels, energy levels, creates mucus. I am pretty convinced that it's always involved in the female reproductive issues with cysts and all of that. So I think overall, like including it in every day as a staple or as a thing that is just part of your regular diet, I don't think it brings value. In some small amounts or something, yes. But just not as a staple, and it just doesn't seem to work as well in vegetarian diets. I can't speak about omnivore diets. Maybe it works there because the meat brings the iron that the dairy, but I can't speak. I'm just not your expert on that. I'm not an expert on anything. I don't ever want to be an expert because that just puts you in a box and limits you as a person, and also does not allow you to make your own mistakes, which is so important. We all need to make our own mistakes in order to grow And it's also kind of be wise about certain things, so it doesn't have to be all mistakes. Iron, I talked about iron. Now nettle tea, spinach smoothies, those are really important. I wouldn't worry about spinach and kidney stones if you're vegan. It does seem to correlate more with animal consumption and then spinach than on a vegan diet. My kidneys actually have loved it going vegan. I've been vegan for a really long time, but I've made a few breaks. Back in the day I made breaks. Some of them were okay, some of them were not so great, but a learning experience nonetheless. Okay, potatoes are a really good source of absorbable iron with the peel, so they have to be organic. And as I was saying, they provide some nourishment on a soul level. All food doesn't only feed the body, it's information, it's condensed sunlight, it feeds the soul. We're talking about everything. I did a class called light. Everything is light, just densities of light, or just higher energy of light, or there is quantum physics or even metaphysical ways to explain light. But light is the fabric of existence and reality. It's love, it's who we are. We're a light body, and in our finer bodies, everything is light around us, and we feed off either light or prana or fruit or food, and all of this is forms of light. So when we remove the noise, trying to get somewhere with this kind of all over the place talk, when we remove the noise, we can essentially just really hear the body, tend to the needs of the body. Don't complicate things, because things are very simple. They can be complex, but they can be simple, and it takes years to come to a place of simplicity. But you do come to a place of simplicity, and it pays off. I'll tell you what my diet, just to be a little more practical, because this was all over the place and not very practical. I'll tell you what my diet looks like. I still intermittent fast. I don't recommend it or not recommend it. It's what I do. I've always been attracted to it. It works for me. It also kind of works for my schedule, because I teach yoga and I cannot eat before I do yoga. And I can't even drink a lot. I do sometimes, and it's not good for vacuums and all of that, stomach vacuums. So I intermittent fast, and I only eat after I shoot. If I can, after I shoot immediately, or if an hour later, however it works out. I usually shoot at around 1 or 2 p.m. I have a morning in which I have a lot of stuff to do, and then I eat, and usually I think it ends up being kind of, I can snack through the day, but then I usually have 1 or 2 meals in the afternoon, kind of evening. And it depends, if I eat too early, I'm gonna have a later dinner too. I can't just eat one meal at 3 or 4 o'clock. And sometimes, being a mom, if I put a camera on my meal, it's ridiculous. One day I started eating at 4 p.m. and I was like, wow, I'll have an early dinner. I had to stop, I had to get up between every 2 bites. Lottie, really, I think she does it just to mess with me. She wants something every 2 bites. Come look at this, come see that, come, I'm making a cracker, so I'm getting up in between every bite. Then I go water the plants, then this, then that, and I ended up eating it, finishing my meal at 8 o'clock. It took me 4 hours to just eat, obviously with a lot of activities. But I kind of intermittent fast in the morning, because I have to do yoga, and because mornings are my active time, work time, mental time, everything but like massive food time. I can snack, and I can drink my lattes, my tea, and so forth. In the morning I hydrate. So after that I eat either a snack and then a meal, or a meal and then another meal, something like that. I focus lately either on bananas and dates and greens, potatoes, and tofu or lentils. So now I started sprouting lentils. Lately watermelon, peaches, a lot of apples. whatever is in season, I buy it. I make it delicious. The fruit I serve, as I said, with carob and cashew milk and stevia, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And then the potatoes, I don't overcomplicate it. I do use spices like curry. Those spices also have iron in them. I include greens, lettuces. I don't think of iceberg lettuce as inferior because the color, cauliflower, broccoli, a lot of cabbage, so forth. And I don't count calories. There's no way for me to count calories because that means I have to weigh my food to know how much I ate. It's probably gonna be around 2,500, but some days it can be 1,800 and other days definitely 3,000 when I do the dates. It's a lot of the dates. So it's just I eat until satiated, but I know that I'm not gonna be heavy after. So I'm pretty full, but good full. You know, there is good full and there is like bad full. No, not the bad full. The good full where you can still, you feel kind of like slow down a little bit so that you can start getting ready for bed and kind of quiet down, but at the same time clean up the house and all of that. So that is about it. It's very simple. If I punch it in, I haven't used chronometer lately, but if I punch it in chronometer, I usually meet 90 to 100 something percent of my needs daily. I do meet my iron needs, and as I mentioned, if we are not eating dairy, actually we are more sustained. I no longer completely recommend the vegan diet because it just takes years to fine-tune how to do it. So if you have to include something like eggs don't work for me at all, not like the slightest bit. But if you have to include them, they're very sustainable, especially if people now can have their own hands. And it's really, I don't think it's, it doesn't have to be abusive. Obviously, don't buy eggs from any form of animal farming situation. But if you have to include something, you know, include it. Make it so that it works for you, that you feel good, that you feel sustained, that you can do this for the rest of your life, that you're not going to feel deprived or constantly counting calories, constantly thinking what to eat or how to prepare it, that type of thing. It has to be really easy to maintain, easy to integrate into your lifestyle, something that makes you feel good. And if you feel not completely good, you're going to have to tweak things, remove things, add things. Your body is telling you, is guiding you how to adjust your diet. So everything happens really in an intuitive way, where we're just not shying away from foods because of their like, I don't know, carbs or something like that, sugar, something like that. And I think that's about it. I'll leave it at that. I told you what I eat in a day. It's usually pretty high in calories, pretty nourishing. Yesterday was a lot of dates and some greens and a lot of apples. Before that I was cooking potatoes and I forget what else. The day before it was, I finally got to buy potatoes. When I run out of potatoes, I don't like it. Potatoes, greens, sprouted lentils, and just base everything around it, but add other things to it, little side greens, green beans, peas, etc. There's so many vegetables to add to our diet. So that's about it. It's kind of simple, but it's very nourishing, it's very filling. There's never the need for anything else, anything more. I never ever feel unsatisfied, like, oh, like this is not enough. I feel satisfied completely. So, and I do recommend for really good digestion to do my core classes, because without good digestion, things don't taste right. We have to have the whole process of digestion, you know, great. That happens with twists that we do in a lot of the classes, a lot of the stomach vacuums. They really tend to tone the internal organs and the organs of digestion and assimilation. And the last one, elimination. So they really help with the whole process, so that when we're ready to eat, we have good strong appetite. Good strong appetite in Ayurveda means that you're going to digest your food well. The whole process of eating is something I really, it's strange to me how much we can talk about it and still not know what to eat, but that is the society we live in. So really listen to your body, kind of look at certain things your grandma did, but not the fried stuff. Like I ignore that part. I can't eat fried food, not good for you, not good for your arteries. But certain things that grandma said, like, okay, apples are good, then don't listen to some expert that tells you, okay, apples are too much sugar, they'll give you cancer. I've literally heard that from multiple different experts. I think enough ramble. Bye.